Okay, today's video is going to be about starting a Dubia Roach colony. I have to clean my Dubia roaches out today, so I decided to split them apart and make two colonies. So I'm going to show you how to make a colony of your own. It's a little complicated, but I think anybody could probably pull this one off. Okay, let's get started. Okay, as you can see right there, that's a female. And what she's carrying behind her is an egg sac. So, this is ultimately what you want, is for them to reproduce and have babies. So, this is a female. I'll get you a picture of a male here in a second. That there is a male. A couple of males, actually. And they have wings where the females do not. And those are two mature males. You can see little nymphs running around there. We don't know what those are going to be yet. But anyway, that's what the males look like. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what materials we're going to need. To start off with, you're going to need a container to raise your dubias in. And this here is a Sterlite tub. You want something that's deep and wide. You're going to need a hole saw cutter, or saw hole cutter, whatever you call it. A hot glue gun and some screen. Could be the soft or even the hard wire one, but something small like this. You can see what I've done there, but I'll explain it more to you. But you're going to need some ventilation, and this is a good way to do it. This is at least the way I do it. Okay, if you don't know what a hole saw cutter is, this is basically what it is. It's a drill that will attach to your rotary drill, and it's got a bit on it, and it's got different sized holes that you can saw into whatever material you're going to use. This little plastic here it saws into pretty easily, but you can use whatever size you feel is appropriate for yourself and put as many holes as you like. What I did is, you can see what I sawed my holes in, and some people put them on the sides too, but I thought this was enough ventilation. They seem to thrive in these containers. You don't want to use a clear container. You want to use a container that's solid colored, so it stays dark and they feel more comfortable and safe. Okay, I didn't show you how to cut the holes in the plastic top for the bin, but I think you pretty much get it. You can use whatever method you want to make your holes, but what you want to do is get some screen, either the wire screen or the soft screen. I prefer the soft screen, something that you would put on a window in a house or something. But anyway, you want to cut the appropriate size hole, and then I use a hot glue gun to attach the screen to the top of the bin. It's as simple as that, and let's go on to the next step. Okay, once your holes are finally cut and your screen is glued on, so you have something secure, you don't have to worry about the dubia roaches climbing out and getting out of your container because they can't climb up smooth surfaces. I can't say that for every type of roach, but dubia roaches can't climb very well. So you might get the occasional one that might get up halfway and then fall, you know. So anyway, the next thing you're going to need to start your colony is these. I use an egg crate to give them some place to hide. And basically what I do is I'll stick these in side the bottoms of the thing standing up. And you don't want to lay them flat because it causes too much moisture to accumulate and makes it so that it gets a little moldy. The air underneath it gets a little stagnant, and you'll find your dubia roaches will start to die. But I just kind of stagger those around a little bit, standing straight up. And now let's get on to see how we feed them. Now you can get these chicken crate or chicken egg crates from you can get them online, or you can go to a nearby restaurant. You know, a lot of the restaurants don't want to keep these things, and that's where I get mine from. Go ahead and try and see if you can get some of these. They just give them to you usually. They're just trash after they use all the eggs out of them. Most of the time they throw them away. So you might want to go to a restaurant and see if they have any of these things. Otherwise, you can order them online, and you get stacks of them. You'll need to change them out, you know, fairly often. You know, not necessarily once a month, but you know, maybe every other cleaning or so. Okay. As far as feeding your dubias, I use kind of a mix of things. This here in the jar is some of the same stuff I use for the worms, mealworms and superworms. It's some chicken feed, the crumbles, and I stick it through a little grinder or food processor, and it makes it into a kind of a powder, as you can see. And anyway, I make little bowls out of old butter containers or mayonnaise jar lids, anything shallow that the dubia roaches can get in to get to the feed, because they will eat some of this solid feed. But I also feed them different types of vegetables. I feed them carrots. I feed them some kinds of melons, different kinds of squash. They don't seem to like greens and stuff, but they will eat them. So you can throw them greens. And for moisture, I give them cut up pieces of orange. Now, that's a little controversial. Some people say that you shouldn't give them orange, but it doesn't seem to have bothered any of the animals that eat them, for me at least. But anyway, but you can use also the moisture crystals. It's a thing they use in the hobby for plants, and just make sure it's not got any kind of fertilizer or anything in it. And they're a clear crystal that you add water to, and it absorbs the moisture, and then you can put it in the container with them, and they will use that to collect moisture. Now you have to keep them watered in some way with either their feed or with some kind of a moisture. You don't want to put a bowl of water in there. Of course, they'll drop in it and drown. But anyway, they do need moisture to survive. So, give them something like that, and along with, something solid like this powder that I make. Okay, now, well, as you can see here, I've got, one full colony of Dubia roaches. Of course, you're going to have to purchase your full set of Dubia roaches. Start with some adults. It's going to take a while for you to breed, whatever appropriate size you want to use for your animals. I have all different size things here that eat different sized Dubia roaches. So, I use the tiniest babies to the, largest adults. But generally, if you're going to start a colony, and I mean a really good, thriving colony, you need to leave them alone for at least 6 months before you decide to use any of them. It's just a time-consuming thing. It's not, you don't get them overnight. Also, and this isn't exactly what I would call a thriving colony. I mean, sometimes you can have a colony collapse for whatever reason. Maybe there's too much moisture. Maybe you're not giving them enough moisture. It's hard to say. I mean, maybe some kind of little, thing goes on with them where they get some kind of little bug, pun, that, causes them to, die, but I try and clean mine out at least once a month, once every couple months or so, give or take. Some people use bran in the bottom of their containers to feed them, and also it makes it easier to collect moisture so it don't get too moist in there, and it's easier for them to be cleaned. I don't use anything in the bottom. Some of the baby dubias will eat some of the poo and the leftovers and whatnot from the larger dubias, and that's how they live. Actually, and they eat all that little stuff. So anyway, those are some of the containers that I have in there. This is how the new one's going to be. I'm just going to transfer over a certain amount of males to females. If you have too many males, they will fight, and they'll cause damage to each other and stress each other out, and it stresses the females out also, and then they won't breed. Generally, I use 5 females to 1 male adult. Now, there's other people that do it differently. They do it maybe 3 to 1. I do 5 to 1. Seems to be less stressful on the roaches. These also are a tropical bug, so if you want to breed them, you need to keep them warm. Now, the particular room that they're in, that I breed these in, I just don't throw them out in the garage because they would die in the wintertime. It just would get too cold. And you don't have to worry about them getting loose and running amok in your house. If they do, they probably won't survive. One, because of moisture. They need to have something to drink, food, and also they need it to be warm. Now, it stays warm in this room. And where I have them, I have used heat mats along the side of the container, not underneath, because they need a place to get away from it. You can put it on the side, and it needs to get right around 80 degrees or so for them to thrive and breed. but that shouldn't be a problem for anyone. Just get a reptile heat mat that will fit over the side of maybe a third of the container, or maybe even half, and that way they can cuddle up to the warm side and get away from it if they need to. Um, anyway, then they will successfully breed. But as you can see, I have lots of little babies here, and there's some adults and half-growns, and all different sizes. And like I said, this isn't the most I've ever had. I mean, I've had this thing where it's just alive with thousands of roaches, but this one had a bit of a collapse, and then kind of made a comeback. So that might happen to you sometimes. And something else too is, don't be afraid to add some diversity to the crew. Every now and again, if you're at a reptile show, or if you want to get some from a Dubia breeder online, order some and add some genetic diversity. After a while, they keep breeding with inbreeding and inbreeding, and now it's not the same as with people, but if you breed too much inbreeding, what you'll start seeing is smaller dubias. They won't thrive as much, and they don't survive as well. So every now and again, add a few new dubias to your colony. But anyway, then you kind of get what I need, what you need to do. They they have their little egg sac that they carry around behind them. Those turn into, they hatch and turn into little nymphs, and then it takes them a while to grow up. They don't grow real fast. Like I said, they probably would be about 6 months at least before I would start using any of the dubias that you have. Normal conditions, good conditions, as long as nothing goes wrong. Male will live maybe 1 to so years, maybe 6 months, give or take. Female might live a year and a half to 2 years. It just depends. I mean, that's on the long side, but say 6 months for the male and a year for the female, give or take. Every now and again you'll find a dead one in the bottom. Just pluck it out, take out anything that has died. And like I said, once a month or so, you want to clean your dubias out. Now, what I do is I keep more than one bin, so that I have one clean, ready to go, and then a bin that's still going, and then I can just transfer everybody over into the new container. But what they'll do to these egg crates is, they do a lot of pooping, and a lot of stuff from when you feed them get on it, and they also chew holes in it. So you might want to watch for that too. Anyway, I'm going to transfer some dubias over from one side to the other, and clean up the mess in the bottom of this, and I'm going to try and have 2 colonies going, and one's going to just be left alone. The other one I'll use for feeders. Okay, you can see here I've separated some adult male and female roaches. Like I said, 5 to 1. 5 females to 1 male. And I also dropped in a few of the little nymphs and some of the smaller sized roaches. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to toss these in here just like this. Find their little hiding spots, and go to where they want to go. They'll figure out where the food is. A little bit later on, I'll take the vegetables that I have cut up for them, and I just spread them around the top. You can put them in the bottom too. They'll eat it from wherever. Um, they're not picky at all. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover it up, and I'm going to, just maintain the feed and keep it clean. But I am not going to use it for at least 6 months. I'm going to let this colony build and thrive. Once in a while, if I have to, like I said, I'll toss in a couple of roaches from another colony, from somewhere else, whether it's from a show or from a dealer online, and just add a little bit of genetic diversity. Uh, I think that helps them be a little stronger and thrive, and keep your colony going for a little bit longer. So anyway, I don't know if I can add anything else to it. If you think of anything, comment and ask me. I'll try and answer your questions as best as I can. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I hope you find it was helpful, and go ahead and start your own dubia colony. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, please like it, and share it. Thank you very much. See you next time.